recording right now.
Okay, it works for me.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for coming to our first event as DSC uOttawa, kind of after our first general meeting, and a joint four-way collab. This is pretty huge. We have pretty much coast-to-coast coverage of viewers. And if please, if you're willing, if you could go into the chat and just drop like where you're from, where you're watching from, that'd be super interesting to see where everyone's watching us from. So yeah, tonight we're gonna be collabing between Developer Student Clubs Washington U, University of Ottawa, uOttahack, and IEEE uOttawa. We'll kind of do like a quick intro before we get into the actual content in a bit. So first of all, I just want to give you a brief idea of what our night's going to look like. So we're just going to start off with brief introductions, just getting familiar with all the faces and putting a branch or one of the orgs to a face, if you will. And then we'll kind of jump in right away to Z's dynamic presentation, where he's going to be taking these slides and comparing them with his colleagues' resumes that are pretty impressive, like really good examples of resumes. And then we'll jump into a Q&A, and everyone can hop in there and drop stuff in the chat. And yeah, so that's how it's going to work. And then we're going to split off into breakout rooms after, where you can get you will have a chance to get your own resume critiqued. And the way we'll have that done will be explained when you're actually in the breakout room by your specific moderator. Yeah, so we'll get started. My name is Tony. I am a third-year electrical engineering and computing student at the University of Ottawa. I'm currently representing DSC uOttawa and uOttahack, but I have worked at IEEE uOttawa in the past. And yeah, super stoked to be here. Super stoked that we have a lot of people watching us. And yeah, I'm gonna pass the mic off now to Victor from DSC WashU.
Yeah, what's up, guys? I'm super excited to be doing this event in collaborations with our homies up north. Yeah, super excited to be here. I'm a junior at WashU studying computer science and doing some other fun minors. Yeah, Vlad, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so hey guys, my name is Vlad, and I'm a third-year computer engineering student here at the University of Ottawa. I interned this past summer for data science and AI research, and I'm representing IEEE uOttawa today. So IEEE is the world's largest technical professional organization for advancing technology. And at the University of Ottawa, we are the sub-association representing electrical, computer, and software engineering students.
Yeah,
and yeah, sorry, I'm gonna bring the mic over to Skyla.
Hey guys, I'm the DSC lead for uOttawa. I'm a third-year software engineering student, and I'm currently working at Blackberry. And let's get this meeting kicked off, and I'll pass the mic over to Z, who's one of your co-hosts this evening.
Hey everyone, so I'm also with uOttahack, as is Tony, and I'm very excited to get to our presentation tonight. I guess I'll start off by giving a little bit of a self-introduction. Hopefully, give my voice a little bit more credibility. So I'm currently a third-year university student, but I've been fortunate enough to have interned at a variety of cool companies, so like Google, Tesla, Microsoft, just to name a few. And then also my resume has managed to score me interviews at just about every prestigious institution, from quant firms and tech giants to self-driving car companies. But, hopefully I'll be able to share some of my learnings and, resume tips with you all. So I'm going to get started with the presentation here. And I first just want to talk about the purpose of your resume and kind of like where it comes in throughout the recruiting process. So it really is like useful in three main steps. So first, to get the company to notice you initially. This is usually done through ATS, which I will get into later, but So they'll usually, either a recruiter will look at it or they'll, have a system that kind of parses your resume to look at it. It's also used during interviews. So basically, like, it could either be a technical or a behavioral interview, but a lot of times your interviewer will ask you about your projects, some of your past internships, and kind of ask you to describe what you did and how you did it. And it's also very important at the last step, which is the hiring/engineering manager review. So they'll usually look through and look for like a fit for a specific team or a specific project, based off of your past work and your interests and such. And lastly, some companies have this, some companies don't, but there's sometimes like a committee review, which your resume is part of a packet along with your other interviews and other results that they'll review. Okay, so earlier I mentioned ATS, and I kind of just want to go over quickly what it is. So it stands for Application Tracking System, and basically it's used to initially filter out candidates. What it does, so it looks for keywords. So it's just like uses some natural language processing to parse out the keywords on your resume. And it's looking for your technical skills, your job titles, and previous companies. So this can be like, I don't know, like Java, C++, data engineering intern. Some companies actually like whitelist your resume based off of previous companies you worked at. So example, if you're working at one self-driving car company, if you had a different one in the past, they'll also like specifically look for that. Yeah, so this is very important because a lot of candidates, their resume just kind of gets parsed out like at the beginning. I know like a lot of people like to use those fancy templates, make the resume look nice, and that's good, but a lot of the times those don't parse properly. So what I recommend is actually having like 2 copies of your resume. One, like if you really like the design, have that one, but also have one that's more like plain text. Right, you can use Microsoft Word, it'll always work. If you use LaTeX, you can make it in LaTeX, that's also pretty consistent. Okay, so now I'm gonna get into the main sections of the resume. First is contact information, and this is pretty straightforward. You wanna have your name, email, phone number. Some people say you don't really need phone number. I think like a lot of times the company will ask you for it if you do interview with them, so you may as well include it here. And then, of course, any links to portfolios. So LinkedIn, GitHub, your personal website, Dribble, whichever ones that you want to put on. Next section is skills. So this section is mainly used for the ATS screening and an initial look over by a recruiter. And there's kind of like, so it's one of those things where it's like kind of like hard to put, because I see a lot of people, they'll put like, very proficient with or not very proficient with, stuff like that. I think like there's kind of not too much of a need to separate into all that. I usually just say keep it short, keep it small. It should just be a small section on your resume, and mostly used for like the ATS screening part. Because most of the times when a manager looks at it or when a recruiter looks at it, they'll look to see where you use the skills in your employment or in your projects. So the skills is mostly just to get that pool of keywords in. So things to put in your skills section, you can put programming languages, frameworks, databases, tooling, operating systems, and any specific concepts. So like put like object-oriented programming or functional programming, distributed systems, stuff like that. Don't put stuff like Microsoft Excel. Like I know, I don't know, I like the co-op program at some schools will like tell you to put these kind of things on. Unless like the job posting specifically says to put these kind of skills on, it's kind of like, it's not gonna get you anywhere, so. Okay, and then here's another key point. So it's okay to put something that you're currently picking up or will be picking up shortly. But basically, the point is that if you are going to put it on, you should be ready to answer any questions that the interviewer will have on it. So just be careful about that. Jumping into education. So for this, we want, you need to have your institution name, your program and major of study, and your expected graduation date. Only include GPA if it's, like high. So like, and always convert it to a 4.0 scale. I know a lot of different universities kind of have their own grading scale. Most companies, like especially, for recruiters that are reviewing your resume, like they're more familiar with the, 4.0 scale. I think it's usually more universal this way anyway. So just convert it. There's like tools online to do this. And then it's also very important to list relevant courses taken, especially, as kind of, if you're looking for an internship, you may not have as much previous work experience. Then in this case, the courses that you've taken can kind of show the employer a lot about, what kind of skills you have or what kind of things you may have learned. And then this is kind of just the last point I added. So save scholarships and awards for another section. You could lump it with the school section or the education section, but I would only try to do that if you don't really have any extra space for an actual awards section. Next, we have employment. So this is usually the first section that the recruiters and managers will look at, aside from maybe skills. So if you don't have any previous technical employment, you can put other types of employment history. Let's say you're looking for your first internship. In this case, move your project section above the employment section. But still do list any non-technical employment that you do have. Also, state a specific team if you are on one, and technologies that you used in the title. And then also try to have every bullet point follow this kind of format. So what you did, why it was impressive, and what impact it delivered. This is very important for the hiring manager to see specifically, because like you can list kind of like what you did, but to the manager, it's like, okay, so what, right? Like, what did they actually do for that company? And what did they actually accomplish, right? So I do have some like resumes here that I can kind of go over quickly. I don't know, can you guys see my screen? Thumbs up if you can see the resumes. Okay, cool. So, okay, so first of all, okay, this is a good resume to quickly take a look at the education section for. So you see this person has the university, their major, a GPA converted to 4.0. The expected graduation date over here, and then just a small list of courses that they've taken that's relevant. So data structures and algorithms, object-oriented design, operating systems, databases, and such. I have another resume here, and this person did a really good job with their bullet points for their employment or experience. So you can see under Coinbase here, they said, built a distributed system using Pandas, Lambda, Airflow, S3, and Snowflake to load market and order book data for 1,500 plus trading pairs. So they stated what they did and kind of what impact they had. So, and then also like the technologies that they used for it. For example, here, built a monitoring system using Go and Protobuf that displays enabled media services for all vehicle configurations, firmware versions, and countries, minimizing the risk accidentally toggling certain services in blacklisted countries and damaging partnerships. So very clear to see this is the impact that he had, and this is what he did and how he did it. So yeah, going back to the presentation, the next section we have is projects. And basically for projects, the setup and structure should be very similar to the employment section. So the kind of content that's there should kind of follow the same format. If it's a team project, be sure to state what your role was and kind of what your specific contribution was. Did you work on the back end? Did you work on the database part? Did you work on the front end? Were you like the team lead? That kind of stuff. Also state like what the project is for. Is it just like, you know, a passion project on your own? Did you work on it at a hackathon? You know, is this some open source contribution, or, you know, maybe it's like a side hustle, a startup, right? I also have another resume here who did a really good job with their project section. So they kind of listed their role in the project along with their technologies. And then the bullet points are very similar to the experience section. And then they also listed kind of, you know, where that this was a hackathon project that they made at Make Harvard. Cool. So next up, oh yeah, so this is also always a nice thing to have is if you do have a link to your project, maybe it's like on a dev post like this person has it, or if it's on your GitHub, or it's even like cooler if you do actually have it deployed and you can like include a link to it. Recruiters and managers love seeing that. A lot of times they'll actually go on and then ask you about it during your interview. So. And then the other section, so those were like the main sections that you kind of should have. So the education, right? The experience, the projects, and skills. And then other sections include, you know, any, you know, awards that you have. You can put that in like an honors and awards section. If you're like a hackathon finalist, or, you know, if you do any competitive programming or math or any other type of, you know, related contest results, definitely list those. If you've done volunteering or other school commitments, you know, like if you're part of some club, those are also really good to add, but only do that if you have like extra space. If you're finding that your resume is already kind of cramped and you're kind of short on space, then this is probably one of the sections that you'd want to leave out. And then for sure, stuff like interest and introductory paragraphs and references, these aren't like super necessary. References, a lot of companies don't even ask for those anymore, but like if they do want some, they'll usually just ask you for them. But yeah, and then just some final thoughts. Your resume should be one page. Do not use the school generated ones. I know at our school, the co-op program kind of makes this like templated school generated one that's like 4 pages long, and it's like disgusting, and it's just terrible. Don't use that one. Put it on a one pager. Like you got to think of it from the recruiter's point of view, right? They're probably going through like one resume every minute, and they're not going to have time to go through multiple pages, right? You should have enough white space to make it not look too cluttered, and then make sure the font size is readable. So I see a lot of resumes that are like, the font's in like size 6 or size like 5. And then it's like, I need a magnifying glass to see that. Like no recruiter or manager is gonna be able to read the text. Like there's definitely some stuff you can take out. Like, yeah. So in terms of design, so a lot of people do like to put, you know, a lot of colors and then like, you know, make some unique designs with the resume. And I think that's cool. But just make sure that it's like readable, because again, like you shouldn't need like a map to kind of understand where everything is. When a recruiter looks at it, they kind of immediately should be able to see your experience and your skills, stuff like that. So yeah, better to be simple than overcomplicated. And then I guess just lastly, like do keep in mind that applications and like having your resume reviewed by a recruiter, these are all kind of like a numbers game. So even if you have, you know, a stellar resume, like just, you know, the perfect resume, if the recruiter is having a bad day, right, and then they're just, you know, not in the mood, there's a very good chance that, you know, your resume just doesn't make it into the interview pile. So just apply to as many places as you can, and if your resume, you know, it's really just a numbers game. So yeah, those are the main notes that I kind of had. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat. And
so before, thank you for that, Z. That was a really good presentation. Can we just get the screen share just like minimized for now, and then I'm just gonna have everyone kind of talking and answering Q&As for a bit, unless you have anything else to share on the screen share.
I will pause the share.
Bless up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that kind of ends brings us to an end on the slides portion of this event, and we're gonna now break off into event or breakout rooms. Before we do though, I do want to say that everyone on this panel is qualified and we've all held some kind of a tech job. So honestly, like you can use this as like a tech intern, like a mini tech intern panel. As you're in your breakout rooms, definitely use your mods to your advantage. And it's supposed to be like a really conversational, like chill thing. So like when you're in your breakout rooms, please do like feel free to turn on your audio, video, what have you, and interact with your hosts and squeeze as much information out of them as you can. Now we've actually gone through introductions for the organizers, which was Victor from uWash and Vlad from IEEE uOttawa and Skyla from DSC uOttawa. But we actually have I'll quickly introduce them. So we have Nevin. He has held past internships at LinkedIn, IBM, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Blackberry? Yep. Blackberry. Yep. Yeah, so he's also going to be one of your mods today. Now we also have Ali. You guys should all be seeing them on the spotlight. He is currently working for the RCMP, ? You can kind of talk about a little bit about yourself, Ali.
I'm third year software engineering, currently co-oping at the RCMP, worked at the university as a web developer, and yeah, that's a bit more about me, yeah.
Nice. And this is Greg Mitchell. He's from the DSC uOttawa team.
Yeah, I'm also a third year university student. I'm studying software engineering, and I've done 2 co-ops at Nokia, but on different teams. So I was a malware analyst my first term, and now I'm working on a platform automation test team.
Nice. And Z, he's worked at Tesla, Google, and Intel, and Microsoft. And I have worked at the Canada Revenue Agency as a web developer. And I've recently transitioned into the private sector at a company called Synopsys, making semiconductor IP and circuit design tools. And I also am a reservist for the Canadian Navy as a naval communicator, which is basically like the IT department of the ship. So now I'm guessing that everyone who has remained wishes to be in a breakout room. Now, if you don't want to be talking or like you want to stay anonymous, that's totally fine. We have a plan B for our moderators to go through draft resumes, like other people's resumes. But if not, you'll have the chance to talk to everyone about your own resume and get a critique.
Also, Z, do you want to show how people can blind their resumes if they want to make sure that their own personal information is hidden?
Oh yeah, sure. Basically, like earlier, I was just using this.
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, cool. Let me. Okay, can you guys see?
Yeah.
I was just using this.
Z, can we also get those the resumes that we collected in the forums into that same bin?
Wait, hold up. Actually, give me 1 second.
And then for everyone here right now, if they do want to get their resume critiqued by any one of us, I'll copy a link to our Google Drive, and you can put your resume into there. And once this event is over, it'll be deleted. So don't worry about us stalking you or anything. But if you are concerned, you can always redact your information. Let me just put it into the chat here. And yeah, just honestly, Google is your best friend. Just Google PDF blur tool if you really are concerned. But yeah, let's split off into our, or actually, before we do that, we have a couple of Q&As.
Yes.
Yeah, so, okay, I'm just gonna scroll up to the very top of the Q&As. So the first question from Firas Jaribi is, do the order of the sections matter? And the short answer to that is yes. I think I suggest you go and rewatch this once we have it recorded. But Z mentioned that a couple of criteria in determining what your order should be. If you have a lot of work experience, that's relevant in the tech sector, that should be your first thing. But if you haven't worked in the tech sector and worked at McDonald's, but you have a lot of tech projects, then projects should be your first thing. It's probably the TLDR. You know, bounce it off C. C's nodding. So yeah, next question. Yeah, so the Zoom call is being recorded. It's gonna be posted on YouTube by uOttahack, and once that's happened, we'll put it on the event page on Facebook.
And for WashU, we'll be putting a link in our group me and in the next weekly email.
Nice. Question from Rishab. How important is GPA really? Because I often have heard the advice of putting the GPA if it's above 3.0.
I guess I can take this one. I don't think GPA is like very important. Like I usually, like, my GPA is like super high, but so like I just like leave it off my resume, and like most companies don't really ask for it, and if they do, like honestly, like, you know, I just don't think that it's like kind of, you know, evaluated too heavily in the tech space.
It's definitely not, because like I do not, like, my grades are honestly like hanging by a thread. And like I don't think that anyone should be discouraged if they have bad grades or whatnot, because like honestly it doesn't matter. It's honestly a lot more about, they look for the soft skills. So yeah, GPA does not matter at all. Like the job that I currently have, my manager just casually asked, like after I got the job, he was like, yo, like, how are you doing in school? And I was like, yo, like I partied a lot in first year and then got my poop in a group now. And so yeah, it's kind of like not important. Does anyone know of any links to formatting a resume like the one shown? Looks like Omer and Fierce have sauced a couple links in there. Another good design tool is called Canva, not only for resumes, but for a lot of other stuff.
So I think for Canva, sometimes like the Canva templates don't parse properly. But if you do want to have a Canva one, you can just like just make like a, I wouldn't say like ugly, but like, you know, like make just like a plain text one that, you know, definitely will pass the ATS.
Cool. And then breakout rooms, are they anonymous or are they for personal ones? It depends if we have people willing to share their personal ones when we get there, but we do have some anonymous ones we can share. At Thomas. And that looks like it's going to be it for questions. So Victor, if you could do the breakout rooms, but make sure there's one mod in each one, if that's even possible.
Yeah, I'll try and do it here real quick. Give me a second. Okay, we have 2, 3.
Let's do 4 breakout rooms, and
4
actually
breakout rooms.
we have 8. So yeah, let's do 4 breakout rooms, 2 mods in each one.
Okay, that sounds good. Give me 1 second, y'all.
There's another question in the chat just before we do that.
Is it a good look on your resume if all your projects are personal solo projects? Because most of mine are done by myself only.
Could I answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's pretty good if you're just looking for a technical job. Like if you're doing coding and you have a lot of coding, it'll be good for that because it shows you know what you're doing and you can self-manage. But if you're looking for a management position, such as what Tony has, then you're going to want to put more collaborative projects and somewhere you were the lead to show that you do have people skills as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I echo everything that he just said. And I really recommend hackathons. I actually got this shirt at a hackathon because you get a lot of free swag at hackathons. And that was actually the first reason why I went, because I was like, damn, I want free shit. So like I can go to these hackathons. But they actually turned out to be super useful in the workspace or getting a job. So highly recommend hackathons. uOttahack's coming up as well, so keep your eye on that. And
Really good.
Alan McDonald, he works at Amazon for AWS, and he says, if I can add to that answer, if you are making something that has a UI, user interface, try to host it and have a link to it. So yeah, have it deployed, have it so that we can play around with your project. That's also a good one. Let's get into these breakout rooms, Victor. And
Yeah.
the rest of your questions, we can have the mods answer.
Yeah, I'll try and open them, see how this stuff goes. Okay.